This episode of Behind the Video is brought to you by the Independent Media Network. The Independent Media Network helps journalists and content creators create their own jobs by building sustainable online businesses. If you're an unemployed or underemployed journalist or content creator, visit imnct.com for more information. Hey everybody, it is Lon Seidman, the zombie, and Tim Street. We are back for Behind the Video. I have a... Hey Tim, first of all, hello.
Hey, congratulations.
Thank you. I am surviving, getting a decent amount of sleep so far.
You're blinking a lot. That means you're stressed if you're blinking a lot.
No, we're just fine. It's worked out quite well so far. She's a darling little baby, and I was just telling you before the show, Tim, there's this actually relates to our show because the guy has a video on Amazon Video. You got to pay for it, but it is called The Happiest Baby.
You paid for it?
I paid for it.
Somebody stole it and shared it with you.
I legitimately paid for this thing. It is called the Happiest Baby. It's by this guy, Dr. Karp, and basically you wrap your baby up, turn her on her side, shush in her ear, and jiggle her a little bit, and they're out. And it's amazing.
Does that work on grown women as well?
I was not able to attempt that given my wife's ability in the martial arts, but it apparently works with children of all ages. So your mileage may vary, but it's been a good experience so far, and she's a beautiful little baby, and she's downstairs right now. I didn't want to disturb her and bring her up, but maybe on a future show we'll have her on. She'll be talking before we know it. So it's good stuff.
So have you bought other stuff on Amazon, or was it the fact that you needed information about how to keep this kid quiet that you bought it? What was the deciding factor?
Well, it's funny, first of all, when you're about to have a kid, everybody that's had a kid is giving you advice and stuff,
That's not too many people, right?
Oh no, not only a few. But what's funny was that the one thing that everyone was talking about was this 5 S's thing, which is what this guy pontificates about. And so I was hearing this enough to say, all right, well maybe I haven't had a baby yet, but we need to know how to take care of this child when she comes out. So let's check this out. So the video was on Amazon. It was a couple bucks. And my wife and I watched it about a month ago to get ready, kind of like our training process here.
Sure.
And then, as we watched it and said, okay, we could probably do this, not a big deal. And then, you forget about it. And then we get to the hospital, have the baby. The nurse comes in and does exactly what they were doing in the video, and the kid's out like a light. So I think,
the baby whisperer.
That's what I call the guy. He's exactly that. And I think that's part of what makes this thing work, and quite honestly, I was looking for good advice videos, and you know what, we were sitting around, we were talking about this, and I went looking for it, and of course, where do you start? Start at Amazon, because you're not out. It's like 8 o'clock, right? Well, for us, 8 o'clock is late now. And there it is, and you can buy it and watch it right there. So we did it. We clicked it on the iPad, hit the AirPlay, and watched an hour's worth of training. It was there when we needed it.
I'm going to stick on this just for a second here.
Sure.
There's something here I'm really interested in. So when did you first hear about the video?
It was a book, and people were talking about the book, and I had gone to Amazon to look for the book, and then it says, oh, we've got the video. And I said,
okay.
Oh, well, the video's a lot more hands-on.
Yeah, so had you ever bought video off Amazon before?
Once before, and I did it because I had free credits.
Okay, so this is your first purchase on Amazon,
right? And
you'd kind of consider yourself an early adopter, right?
Yes, and it took me a long time to buy video.
That's my point here. So maybe a year, 2 years from now is going to be the time where if you have some specific information that people may have heard about someplace else because you wrote a book about it, and it's valuable information.
Right.
Maybe this is going to start catching on, man.
It could. You never know. And you know what? It's there. And that's what was great about it. Again, it was that it was there. It was convenient, and I didn't have to think about it. It was an impulse buy based on recommendations of another piece of media. So perhaps you should make a video-enabled ebook, Tim. That would have sealed the deal for me. Could have read it and followed along. So.
Gee, I should have thought of that.
So that's been my life the last week or two. I'm getting really good at diapers and all that stuff, and I think it's one of those things. It's like like the Jedi training. You're not a Jedi until you've been puked puked on, pooped on, and peed on, and all three have happened.
And paid in precious merconium.
That's right. That is it. And we'll leave it at that. So another thing we're doing this week. First of all, I want to thank, and he's watching right now, Dennis Jose Francois. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Who gave us some great feedback on where the show's been going, which has been helpful. And part of that discussion led me to try to.
Is he in the UK?
I don't know where he is actually. He just emailed me. I think he is in the UK. Yes, he is, according to his Google Plus profile.
Shout out to our UK listeners. How you guys doing?
International. So now what he had given us was some ideas for how to grow things. And around the same time I was reading his email, Google Plus did this huge big update, right? They had this, it changes every week, but this time it really changed. And so the great thing is that...
Wait, I'm sorry. Yep. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but
sure.
For those of our listeners who don't use Google Plus, I know it's hard to imagine, but
it actually is useful, and it's incredibly useful for a show like this because they have changed the whole look of the site, but they also made the event pages look nicer, and you could do this before, but it just didn't jive before. So now you've got on Google Plus, you've got communities, so you can create a community around something. So we've created a community around our show. We've got about 25 people in the community already.
So if you haven't joined our community and you want to be reminded of when our show is on, because we're still experimenting with times.
That's right.
Join the community and we'll give you updates.
Exactly. So when you join the community and when we create the event, you will be invited to the event and it'll remind you about that. So you can tune in live and interact with us. Now, the event page has the video that we're talking in right now, and it has a live chat stream at the same time. So this is so good that if you go now to behindthevideo.com, you're no longer seeing our WordPress site. You're going right to our community. So behindthevideo.com, click on that and join the community, and you can be part of this thing. And I think what we can do later in the show is invite the community to join the Hangout too. So we got all sorts of great stuff. So that is what we got. So Google Plus, just go to behindthevideo.com and you will be part of that. So that is the housekeeping updates for the week. So a little bit of breaking news, though, before we get into this. I'd love to hear Tim's thoughts on this. YouTube has 53 channels that are offering paid subscriptions. That is a bit of a shift. So you can, for most of these shows, they're 99 cents per subscription. These are per show, so it's not like a Netflix thing where you do, one money for everything. Although the UFC is doing a $5.99 per month plan on their thing, and there's an emphasis, according to TubeFilter.com, on long-form content, which is what we've been talking about a little bit in prior shows. So, Tim, what are you hearing about this thing? This is not available to everybody, but
I think you can get Sesame Street is one of the channels that you can get. Time will tell. It'll be interesting to see how many people access this through their set-top boxes and through their connected devices that don't have advertising totally in place yet by YouTube. And it's a change of habit, so it's something people aren't used to doing. So we'll have to see what the uptick is on it. I think it'd be great if it takes off, but it takes a lot of marketing to move the needle. So I think brands that are popular already will do well, and brands that people have not heard of are probably not going to do too well. So if you're basing your business model on doing paid YouTube, I would take a wait-and-see stance and don't rush to market. I would work more on building your brand, building an audience, creating content that costs you very little money to create, like what we're doing here right now. Lon and I are using our home gear for the most part. Lon does have a state-of-the-art studio in his basement.
That's right.
But for this one, he's
a really cheap state-of-the-art studio in my basement, though.
There you go. He's just hanging out on a computer with a microphone. No special gear, and I'm on a MacBook Air. I do have a Samsung microphone. It's a CO1U microphone that I just lay down on my dining room table. and then a set of earbuds. That's pretty much it. You know, there is the investment of a Wi-Fi high-speed connection that does work sometimes. Occasionally, I get bandwidth throttled. Now that I say that, it'll probably happen because I know they're listening.
That's right. Once you mention it, the cable gods come after you.
That's right. So, I'd work on building that audience first before you go rushing out thinking you're going to make a lot of money on a paid subscription on YouTube. And, you know.
And you got to have something to offer that's really valuable. I mean, like the Baby Whisperer guy is a perfect, right? He might be a perfect fit for this thing because maybe he teases you with a couple of little, videos about how you can calm your baby down, and then you pay him the 99 cents a week and get some new tips and whatnot. But, I think for us, the advertising model might be better, but I guess it's a choice, right? I mean, if it's good for YouTube to offer keep people, especially producers, locked in, because a lot of times there have been people that have jumped away, right?
If you have compelling information that nobody else has, subscription's a great way to go. If you're, if you don't, well, you might want to rethink things.
Right.
Speaking of rethinking things and YouTube, this week is Comedy Week on
right.
YouTube. So don't forget that.
Now I guess there's a little bit of like celebrity non-YouTube stars, and they're mixing with YouTube stars.
Great Arnold Schwarzenegger promo for Comedy Week, and Sarah Silverman is involved in Comedy Week. Lot of familiar faces in Comedy Week. So there's an event tonight. We'll talk about that more later in the show, but don't forget, it's Comedy Week.
Comedy Week. And competing with Comedy Week and the live show that we'll be talking about on YouTube in a minute are the broadcast networks and the usual, you can almost like just repeat this thing every week. NCIS occupying the number one space at 17 million viewers. Still doesn't seem like a lot for network, right? Big Bang Theory in at number 2. NCIS Los Angeles number 3. Good to see actually some scripted content dominating, not so much the reality junk. Person of Interest, another scripted show, number 4, all on CBS, by the way. And then ABC comes in with some reality junk, Dancing with the Stars at number 5. At least that one's a little classier than some of the other stuff out there. Cable, it's all NBA all the time, the playoffs on ESPN and TNT. Dominating all of the top 5 positions. The top viewed show was the NBA playoffs, the conference playoffs on Friday, and that was at 6.6 million viewers. And what's interesting is how much more traffic or viewership that shows like The Walking Dead get on cable, right? Almost 3 times the amount that the NBA games are getting. So that's interesting.
And we do have some bad news for you TV fans out there. There are some shows that have been canceled.
A metric ton of shows have been canceled, and there's a great story on The Wrap. I'm going to put the link into our event page so people can take a look. There is some really quite a number of shows that have been knocked off the air.
ABC Bachelor Pad gone. Don't Trust the Bee gone. Last Resort gone. 666 Park Avenue gone. Private Practice gone. 0 Hour, Happy Endings, Malibu County, Red Window, Body Proof, How to Live with Your Parents, Family Tools.
I haven't even heard of half of these shows. I guess that's probably why they're going, right?
There you go. And then moving down to CBS, The Job, Made in Jersey, Partners, CSI New York.
And that used to be a mainstay, right?
Rules of Engagement, and Vegas gone. Those are some expensive shows too.
They are.
CW.
Emily Owens, MD, is gone. 90210. I didn't even know that was back again. That's gone.
Canceled. and
Cult out of
Fox, Ben and Kate, The Mob Doctor, Cops. This is an interesting story, right? Are we talking about this at all? Cops is canceled on Fox, but it's not dead. It's going to another network.
Oh, what network is it going to?
It's going to Spike TV.
No, well, that's a good space for it.
Yeah, it's really good space because Spike TV is the channel that the people that they bust into their house on Cops are always watching in the first place. So, it's the perfect
It's a good circle, right?
Yeah. And then Fringe is canceled as well. Sorry, sci-fi fans. You are once again being robbed. And NBC, This list is long, Nick.
It is long.
The New Normal, Animal Practice, Do No Harm, The Caller, Ready for Love, The Office. The Office is canceled. 30 Rock, canceled. Deception, Whitney, 1600 Pen, Guys with Kids, Up All Night, Smash, Rock Center with Brian Williams, The New Normal, and go on. Gone.
Unbelievable. It is a huge list of. It's the Deadpool, right?
A lot of work. Yeah, they got a lot of work cut out for them.
And
I still can't believe that people aren't using the internet the way Amazon and Netflix are to really, more Amazon to like build an audience first, figure out what people want, and then make the show.
Maybe cross it over from there. And I think it just speaks to the fact that this is an old business model that, if you look at what Amazon and Netflix are doing is they have real data. They know every real view. They're not relying upon some statistic modeling to project and yada, yada, yada. This is real viewership. And
transparency is coming, my friend.
It is, and it looks like there's a lot of bodies stacking up here in the network world. There's a bunch of new shows coming, too, which you can see in that article that we linked on our event page in our Google Plus community. So check it out and see what's out there. It'd be interesting to see if what they do to try to promote some of these shows and get them more popular. And I've just stopped.
What was say the body count at the movie theater, say at number 3 this week? Was there any transparency in how many butts were in seats?
There was. So Nikki Fink at Deadline Hollywood has compiled the weekend totals for movies this weekend, and The Great Gatsby was number 3.
I saw that.
Was that good?
I didn't have a baby this week.
I haven't done anything but change diapers. So, but how was The Great Gatsby? Was it good?
It's beautiful. It's really good. It's fun. I didn't think it was like the best movie ever made, but it was entertaining. It was enjoyable, and if you're a Leo fan, you'll love it.
So I will check that out on Blu-ray, as I will everything else on this list. Iron Man 3 came in at number 2. What's interesting is that it has almost crossed the $1 billion mark when you consider international box office.
It's pretty good, right?
Unbelievable.
Now, when you were younger, who was the biggest action star out there? Arnold?
Arnold Schwarzenegger, I would say.
Do you see Robert Downey Jr. as that same kind of guy?
Not really. He's kind of like, he's more the intellectual type, right? But he's kind of like an Elon Musk industrialist is really his.
Well, that's who it's based on, right?
Oh, is it? Oh, okay, so I guess maybe that's what it is. But yeah, and you know what though? I think it speaks to like, see, when I was a kid, being like a nerdy, geeky kind of person wasn't cool, right? But now it feels like the youth are all using devices that we were
Steve Jobs
shunned for. Yeah, Steve Jobs and that kind of thing. And it seems like he's kind of the personification of taking that intellect and building weapons and jetpack suits and stuff to kind of go forward with it. Because even like in Star Wars, they weren't geeky tech types, right? Like the droids did all that work, and it was all more of the force and ability than it was intellect. And I think that's I guess it's positive stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that was that. Now, what's interesting, Nikki Fink reports that the Star Trek Into Darkness did not live up to expectations. So the cumulative amount is estimated at $75.5 million, which falls short of the original, or the original of the remade Star Trek. Fell short of what the original did 4 years ago. So a little backpedaling by Paramount.
This is going to hurt J.J. Abrams' career?
I don't think it will hurt it one bit, but we'll see, because he's got, it's hard to live up to expectations, especially when they think you're going to do $100 million over the weekend. It did do, just on Thursday, $47 million overseas, though, and that's not part of that cum. So it did do that much internationally, but not domestically, which is what they were banking on. But I have not seen the movie, but everyone I've talked to who has seen it says it's great. So, I'll check it out whenever I can get out of the house. And I just wish Captain Picard would come back.
Oh, yeah.
What's
he doing, man?
Well, speaking of intellectual stuff, so and I don't want to disparage the new Star Trek, because I think they've done a wonderful job of bringing people back into the spirit of what Star Trek was. And it kind of declined over the years that that everyone got older and people stopped watching it and everything else. But it was always like this. It had some action elements, but it was a very deep intellectual kind of commentary on society and where we're going as a planet, yada yada yada. But it doesn't seem to have that in this new iteration. It seems a lot more gritty and action oriented, which is fine. I think it's very entertaining, but there is a little bit lost on the whole notion of humanity finally overcoming its shortfalls and working collaboratively towards common goals and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, we need to work on that.
We do, especially
maybe
in this day
Google
and age.
Plus will help.
Google Plus is
together, and YouTube. More people will watch videos on YouTube.
Right, because it looks like Hollywood might actually be coming around to YouTube, discovering that people might want to actually pay for content, and since they're on YouTube, they might want to do that. The Wrap reporting that there might be some thaw in the relationship because, as you know, there was a lot of lawsuits and everything else when things began. But this paid subscription thing we talked about might actually help Hollywood too, in that they could be able to sell some of their content and get paid for it over YouTube. And
well, they seem to be doing pretty well in the top 5 in terms of movie trailers.
Yeah, they could put ads on the trailers and make money off of that, right?
I think that they're doing it.
So if you look at this is now, by the way, the top chart of the week is still like people watching videos of terrorism and explosions. Psy. So so what I did is I've again changed our thing. We're not looking at the past week. We're looking at just the last 24 hours. So Pacific Rim, the main trailer, 3.9 million views right off the bat. That's the number one. And I know I'm supposed to go backwards on these things, but it fit our.
Well, you're going backwards, all right.
So,
what's number 5? What's number 5?
Number 5. Okay. Now, I want to get to number 5, but number 5 feeds into our next YouTube story. So let me go a little backwards here.
We're going to go down to 2.
We'll work our way down to this thing. So the official teaser trailer for Batman Arkham Origins, and that's a video game. That one came in at 2.5 million views. It looks like a pretty cool game of Batman beating up somebody. There's a Spanish thing here, Despedida del Solitario or something. I don't know what it is, but that's number 3. Now, this is great. Are you a fan of Bollywood action movies?
I don't know that I've seen a Bollywood action movie. I've seen Bollywood dance musical films, and those are fun. Changa Changa, if you haven't caught that one, that's a good one to check out.
Well, one thing to look for on YouTube is just do some searches for Bollywood action movies. They are ridiculously over the top insane, and nice. So there's one of them that I was watching this thing. It was like a 15-minute like ridiculous over the top action sequence. Like just bending the laws of physics kind of stuff. And
was there a wedding in it?
There probably was, but not in the section I was watching.
Okay.
But this is Singam 2, the first look teaser. Just looks hysterical. Just check it out.
Nice.
It's Singam 2, the first look teaser, 1.2 million views on that trailer. So Bollywood and Hollywood doing quite well. So now the next one, this is like mind-boggling. And we've talked about this before. So people love watching people play video games. All right?
Yeah.
I mean, not something I do that often. I mean, I watch reviews of games and stuff, but there's some serious like viewership for this thing. So these dudes uploaded a video of them playing Minecraft 3 days ago, right?
Yeah. Skyblock Warriors.
Skyblock Warriors. I have no idea. Like they're just like BSing with each other and walking around this Minecraft thing. Yeah. 1 million views in 3 days. Yeah. It's like 25 minutes long. This channel is Sky Does Minecraft. They have 3.1 million subscribers.
Hey. They're serving a niche there, right?
They certainly are. And I need to start playing more games because this is like, there's huge audiences for this thing. So incredible stuff. Now, here's the story that's related to this. And I'd love to get your take on this, Tim, because this is one of those gray areas that we always seem to run into in copyright. So Nintendo, the prolific game manufacturer, has decided to start enforcing content ID not on videos of Nintendo IP, but on videos of people playing their games. And there was a big write-up in Tech Dirt, and we'll have the show notes linked on the event page here in a little bit, that kind of details what goes on here. But basically, there's a group. Basically, the genre is called LPER, which is Let's Play. Okay, so if you're doing these videos, you are an LPER. And there's this guy, his name is Zach Scott, and he's got 196,000 subscribers and 81 million video plays. And all of a sudden Nintendo started throwing the gauntlet down on him and claiming his gameplay videos as theirs essentially for the purposes of revenue sharing. So what's happening is Nintendo is now not taking the videos down, but taking all of his revenue away on the plays of his videos. And Nintendo basically they issued a statement that was in the Tech Dirt article, and I won't read the whole thing. But what they said, we continually want our fans to enjoy sharing Nintendo content on YouTube, and that is why, unlike other entertainment companies, we have chosen not to block people using our intellectual property, but they're just going to take the money. So Zach Scott went up on Reddit over it. This kind of like same thing that I did when I was pissed off over my NASA video getting screwed, and it's kind of taken on a predictable path here. So Tim, what do you think? I mean, this is gameplay video, so he's playing through games, and the most recent one he did was this Luigi's Mansion game on the Nintendo 3DS, where he's actually playing the game. There's the music and the actual game footage for half hours. I'm not
getting the motivation here.
So motivation on who? On his part or on Nintendo's?
Nintendo's part, right? Because if they take away the revenue, people are going to not want to make these videos.
That's right. Because there's no incentive for them to do that.
There's no incentive other than just the love of the game.
Right.
So that's going to mean less marketing for Nintendo.
That's correct. And that's what's so odd about this.
The revenue from these games can't really be enough revenue to really move the needle for Nintendo. I mean, maybe it is. Maybe I don't know. Maybe it's a whole new business model for them. But as soon as they start taxing it, it's going to go away.
And
so
if Sega, or Sony, and Microsoft don't do that, then this guy might just spend more time playing with his PlayStation or his Xbox. And it's funny too is that it's one thing if you're pirating the game. I could see them being pretty upset about that, right? Downloading the copy of the game or whatever. But they're not. They're promoting in some sense the game itself.
Yeah, it's kind of like, imagine if you had a basketball. And that was a Spalding basketball, and you were doing trick shots with that basketball.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, Spalding said, hey, you know what? You're using our basketball in your trick shot videos. We're claiming ownership.
Right. And that's a problem. That is a problem. And that's why I just don't get Nintendo's motivation here, and I think that's...
I don't either. Maybe we can have a spokesperson from Nintendo on the show next week to explain.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Now, one thing, by the way...
Let's reach out to our extended community out there. If you're driving right now...
Right. Pick up the phone and call your Nintendo
rep. Please pull over and get your interactive device out and follow us on Google Plus and let us know that you'll be on the show next week.
Perfect. And we'll book you. We'll get you right in there. And, it does speak to, again, how hands-off YouTube and Google tend to be on these disputes. They kind of just don't say anything. And, and I guess Nintendo's within its rights to do what it's doing, but I think it's going to hurt them more than anything. And the fact that they are really hurting with their new console. It's not doing as well as the original. In fact, the old Wii is still selling better than the new Wii, just to give you an idea of their challenges they're dealing with.
See, I think they should be signing these people up and paying them money to do what they're doing.
They should be.
And that's what they should be doing.
And you know what? Maybe they'll
away from them.
Right. Maybe they'll pay off Zach Scott and move on. So.
Or they'll hire Ray William Johnson.
Yes, just as FX is being talked about doing here. So this is according to TubeFilter. Once again, TubeFilter is great. We should just become their podcast. Blip isn't the only entertainment entity, according to the article, outside of YouTube. He has subscribed or signed a deal with FX. I'm not sure what it will entail, but it looks like he is making the transition from the wires of the internet to the wires of cable television. So good for him. That's a good move for him. It seems like he's bouncing back from this channel dispute he's been dealing with. So that's good.
Yeah, we'll have to pay attention to newmediarockstars.com and see what gossip they have to say about what's going on over there.
We'll have to check that out. Now, related to that, because Ray William Johnson is a bit of a comedian, so what's going on with this Comedy Week thing? We've got a lot going on tonight. 8 o'clock, there's some big live broadcast?
Yeah, is that 8 o'clock Eastern?
8 o'clock Eastern, 5 Pacific.
Okay.
So, prime time.
That's right. You got to get out there and take a look. So,
I guess there's a lot of work here that YouTube does to try to get all of its all of its partners, their cachet stars, if you will, getting them on the same page for this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So they're all doing videos that are related to each other or something like that. So it's
There'll be a lot of good crossover this week, and it'll be great to see how well. I mean, it's been fun to, even watching network television. I've seen promos for Comedy Week for YouTube with, the guys from Epic Mealtime are on there. So it's not just TV and movie celebrities; it's YouTubers as well. So there's some great crossover there, and
these are good events for discovery too, right? Because people that might be into one YouTube star and not another will get a chance to see some of the other work that person's doing, right?
Yeah, hopefully our producer Jason Perrier can find some stories on what were the successes and failures of Comedy Week for next week's show.
Good, we'll give him some homework to do. Every time I hit my keyboard, Tim, this thing is I gotta call Google about this because it's still muting me every time I touch my keyboard. So,
that's right.
And
so
it
if you're a Google Hangout person listening to our show right now, Lon needs you.
Yes, to type for me. So, all right. Well, let's move on to our app of the week, and then we're going to talk, Tim, about working with actors and actresses because I know you have a lot of experience in that area. So. My app of the week, and now, Tim, I'm devastated over the loss of Google Reader, right?
Yes, you are.
It's a horrible thing that they're canceling it on July 1st, and there's been a lot of people scrambling to try to come up with alternative Google Readers that perform as well as the original does, and I think I have found one that does a lot of things, including one thing that I really need it to do. So it is called Comma Feed, and it's an open source project. Some guy just posted it up on Reddit, and Reddit went ballistic, happy about it, because it's really very close to the original. It's not as fast as Google's version is, so it feels a little sluggish, but I'm sure they can optimize the JavaScript on it and whatnot. But what I like about it is that it just ingests all of your Google Reader stuff that you've already done, so you don't have to reorganize everything. And it allows a feature that Google had running in Google Reader and then took away, which is that you can create an aggregated feed based on your topics. So, for example, like I have a little new media thing that I've created for finding stories that are relevant to this show, and I just click on the new media thing, and there's about 30 or 40 different websites. TubeFilter, of course, is in there that kind of cover the things that we talk about, and I can just click on it and look at it in one take. And what I can then do is click a little icon and create a feed of those feeds. So it's a really handy thing. And one of the things that we do in our local content network here is every morning we have MailChimp send out a email to anyone who's interested of every piece of content created across our content network. And we have different genres of topics, like news and arts and food and that kind of thing. So I've been very nervous about losing that ability to do all that aggregation of feeds, and Comma Feed does that.
How does it compare to Feedly, and what does it look like on the iPad? And does it have an elegant display, or is it all just the bare feed?
It's not elegant per se. It looks pretty close to what Google Reader looks like now. So it doesn't have a lot of the polish that Feedly has, but it looks very, very close to how most power users would use Google Reader.
And so if you're not a power user, but you've been using Google Reader and you're worried, check out Feedly as well. Feedly's kind of a nice little elegant tool that works on your iPad, your iPhone, and your desktop. And it allows you to look at stuff with pictures, with videos embedded in the feed. So it's really elegant, kind of like Flipboard, except instead of flipping left and right, you flip up and down. Well, you don't really flip, you just scroll down.
Right. Well, a couple different approaches to solve every problem, right? So it's good. I think we're going to see a lot of innovation in the feed reader space moving forward. So wanted our listeners to check that out. So, Tim, topic of the week. Now, you have done a lot with actors and actresses because you've worked in both commercial Hollywood and independent Hollywood productions. So what's the tip for working with actors and actresses? Of course, you could go get a friend and who's got acting ambitions and just kind of put them on for free. But if you wanted to go out and hire professional talent, what's the process and how can you best? What should you look out for?
I think the best thing to do right off the start is to respect actors, no matter if there's somebody that you already respect because they're famous, or if there's somebody that's just starting out. And as you approach the situation, you want to consider what their goals are. Be the type of producer, the type of director that is a actor's producer, an actor's director, and understand what they're trying to achieve and how they're approaching the project and what would make your project interesting to them, more than just a paycheck. There are some actors out there that just want to work, they want to do anything. Those aren't really the actors you want to be working with. You want to be working with an actor that is honing a certain type of career that they want to choose, and make sure that that career maps to your project. That way it's a win-win situation for everybody. So have that respect built into your approach from the beginning. There are some projects where you're not going to be able to work with big celebrities, even though you want to, but there are workarounds. And I say you're not going to be able to, maybe because of union issues, working with SAG-AFTRA, but there are waivers that you can get. If it's a new media project, there's definitely some new waivers, and the folks over at New Media SAG-AFTRA are awesome. They're totally willing to work with you. And so I would say if you want to go after celebrities and you want it to be a union new media project, contact the people at SAG New Media, get educated on it first, and then figure out if that's the right choice for you.
Now, let me ask you this about the union stuff. So if an actor or an actress is a member of SAG, you have to abide by union rules, or is that not always the case?
The actor has to abide by union rules, which means they have signed an agreement that says they're not allowed to work with a production company that's not a SAG-AFTRA signatory.
I see.
So as a new media SAG-AFTRA signator, as the production company, you're allowed to work with union and non-union people in your new media production. So signing as a production company with the SAG New Media is a great advantage to you right now, so that if you've written something for your wife or your sister and you want them to star in it, here's a great opportunity for you to get them into it and possibly in the future get them into SAG-AFTRA, but at the same time hire a SAG-AFTRA actor who is really good. So there's a lot of other little nuances to it as well. I urge you to go to the SAG-AFTRA website and contact those folks if you do have a project, and go through the process of becoming or at least look at it, see if it's the right choice for you. A lot of the great shows that are out there, like Lizzie Bennet Diaries, those are SAG-AFTRA productions. So definitely worth the time. And SAG-AFTRA is really looking out for the actors to make sure that they're paid pension and welfare, because they're not working every day. And they should be saving money for retirement and putting that away.
And is there now when you're looking at doing something like this, is there a cost to joining as a production company? SAG-AFTRA?
No costs to join as a production company. So
just you're committing to abiding by these rules is essentially
right. And there are rules to protect the actors and to respect the actors. I mean, there are set rules on how many hours a day they can work, and from a pay standpoint, it's negotiable. So kind of the rule of thumb, I don't think there's a set amount of payment, but I know that a lot of new media productions pay $100 a day to the actors, and sometimes they're able to figure out a way to defer that payment as well. So there are some rules and regulations, but $100 a day is a pretty fair wage for
definitely.
For anything. And if you're working with new actors that don't have experience, $100 is a great.
It's a good opportunity for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, is there now I know with your ebook Vids, that was stuff that you had done for another, or some of the video was initially going to be done for a different type of project initially, which wasn't an ebook, it was a website thing. How do you, is there a boilerplate language that allows you to be able to use those actors' performances at a later time for a different project?
Sure. two kind of different questions. One, I shot that project a long time ago, and it was a non-union project because SAG New Media and SAG-AFTRA New Media didn't exist at that time. So it was all non-union. There were actors in that were financial core, which is something you should Google and look up if you're an actor. You can do a selection called financial core where you're allowed to work in non-union productions as a SAG-AFTRA actor. I think Sigourney Weaver is financial core. I don't know for sure, but I've always heard that. And you give up your voting rights as a SAG-AFTRA member, and they don't send you reminder notices to renew your dues, but you still have the pension and welfare. And
right, so you get the employment protection, but you're kind of giving up some things because of
that.
that.
You're giving up a few things because you're not sticking with the whole idea of it. But right now with the SAG New Media thing, I think the SAG-AFTRA New Media thing, I think it's a win-win right now for everyone. So look into it.
Excellent. And then I guess there's probably some boilerplate language that you can follow to make sure that you're putting together an agreement.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll walk you through it, what it means if you start out as a new media project and then it becomes an independent film that goes to Sundance that gets bought.
Right. So it could move in a number of directions. Hopefully, it'll move in a number of directions there. So that's great. Anything else that people should be mindful of? Any gotchas to look out for?
Yes. I know of a situation that's happened where somebody has used a third party to insure their production, and that third party insurer didn't have the proper workman's compensation that SAG-AFTRA required, and a person was injured on the set and the insurance wasn't there. Ooh. So when you're doing an independent production, make sure that you've got the right insurance protection there.
Excellent. Yes, you need to make sure that you have your bases covered because it is, and workers' comp insurance is not that expensive, especially if you're.
Well, it is in California.
Well, yeah, everything's expensive in California, but in the grand scheme of things, it is a lot cheaper to pay that premium than it would be to pay a claim if you had one. And if you're a safe work environment, you're typically not going to get hit too hard with workers' comp expenses there. So. Good tips from Tim Street, who is a regular hirer of actors and actresses. So thank you for providing some insight there, Tim.
All right.
And I think that'll pretty much hit the end of our show here. We've got some folks coming over to visit with the baby. It's been a revolving door at the house here, so we love having people over.
Now, with our new community, is that a great place for people to post questions and comments and tell us different times they want us to do the live show?
Absolutely. So if you go into the community, again, you can get to it directly at behindthevideo.com. And when you're inside there, we've got a number of little topic areas, so you can post live shows and chats, or like our show right now is in that section. There is a way, I'll add it probably, maybe viewer feedback as a topic area. So just go in there and just go ahead and post. If you're a member of the community, you can post, and we would love to hear from you, and also have you share the community with others.
Now, can we block them if they put spam there?
Oh yeah, we can totally block people if we want. So don't spam us because we will block you. But if you don't, you can spam like your show or something if it's good, but within reason. So maybe we'll have a little spot there to talk about.
Everybody thinks their show's good.
That's true. Well, if we don't think your show's good, it's spam. So we'll be the judge of that. But you're more than welcome to do that and become a part of it. Again, we got over almost 25 members already, so not a bad
What
start.
if somebody wants to be a guest on the show? Would that be a good place for them to say, "Hey, I want to be a guest on the show"?
Yes, just put it right in there, and we'll be sure to do that. And if you're a little shy and don't want to post that to the world, you can always find me on Google Plus at Lon Seidman, LONSEIDMAN.com, and send an email, and we'd be happy to book you on as well. And we might even try to find a topic, or you could suggest a topic that might fit into your area of expertise, so we can grill you and see how much you really know about it. So that is available through there too. So I think it's just a much easier means of doing that. And the nice part about using Google Plus over WordPress is I don't have to keep updating it to prevent us from selling you Viagra. So those are the things that happen to you when you get hacked on WordPress. So, but all in all, I think it's going to work pretty well. So we're going to double down on Google Plus, get on there, and it shouldn't annoy you too much with reminders and notifications, but it's a great way to keep in touch with us, and we really look forward to talking with more people. Anything else to add, Tim?
Awesome. No, sounds good. I'm looking forward to this.
Me too. So we will interact with each other, and hopefully others will join and do that as well. So Tim, where can people find you? In addition to our Google Plus community, you have other places on the interwebs.
Yes, on Twitter at @OneTimStreet. And you know what? We should light up the Behind the Video @Behind the Video on Twitter as well. So maybe I can start tweeting some things there this week.
Cool. Yeah, if you want to share that password with me, not through our community, of course, I will join in on the fun on that. And also, if you have a topic for the show, you can always tweet it with the hashtag Behind the Video, and Jason Perrier, our producer, will find it and add it to our show notes if it fits within our topics of that week. So that'll do it for this week. I have to get downstairs and change a diaper. I hear the baby screaming. So we will carry forth. Tim,
all right.
As always, thanks. Great show. Stories for this episode were compiled by producer Jason Perrier. Follow him on Twitter at JasonPerrier. Behind the Video is a production of Ape Digital Incorporated and the Independent Media Network, LLC. All rights reserved.